Q all of these you needed extra space. There's too many things going on. Anytime you have parentheses, that's one of the first things you have to work with. I have a 3 in front. I'm going to distribute, multiply here and multiply there. On the outside, I'll leave everything the same until I have things that I can simplify or add together. 3 times Q, 3 times -8. Now I have 4 terms on this side, and I can add some together. What can I add? This and this. They're both numbers without a Q. -14, -24 is going to be -38. The negative doesn't go away when you're adding. How about these two? Can I add those? They both have Q's. +9, +3, that's 12Q. Now I'm down to where I have only 2 things, and one has a Q and one doesn't. So I can't add them, so I'm going to move that 38. It's a -38, so I add a +38. I have to add it to the other side of the equal sign.
40.
Thank you.
Wait, 40.
No.
45.
45. Okay. Again, it looks like they don't evenly divide, but divide by 12, divide by 12, Q equals, I can reduce. 3 goes into the top number 15 times. 3 goes into the bottom number 4 times.
Wait, 3 goes into
45.
okay.
And 3 goes into 12. And then that reduces on down to 4 goes in there, 3 3/4. If you wanted to reduce this with a calculator, 3.75. All of these would be acceptable answers. I should have done the whole thing. All right, so again, on this paper, you probably have multiple pages that you'll need to staple together when you're ready to turn it in. Okay, and if you're not ready to turn it in, you can hold on to it and turn it in when you get a chance. But if it's close to turning in, you probably should turn it in, because a lot of you, it gets shuffled to the bottom of the backpack and never comes through. Yes?
Please.
How about the other side of that sheet?
Graphing side.
Yeah, are you good on graphing?
It was a little funky on like Desmos because it was like they weren't the same, so it was like difficult, but it was fine.
Mrs. Merrill says you're not allowed to use it.
Okay. So one thing that can help you if you're using something like Desmos or a graphing calculator to help you get a picture of the sketch is you need to change the window or the grid to match what's on the printed sheet. And that'll give you something that's in the right proportion for you to be able to sketch it on down. So if you're using a tool, changing the X-min and X-max, Y-min and Y-max, both Desmos and the graphing calculator, you can do that. And then it's easier to say, okay, here's how I need to sketch it on in. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, I see 2 numbers with a W. Now I'm going to leave W on what, this is for you, Memo. You asked for this one? Okay, I see W on this side. I'm going to move the 16. Positive 16, negative 16 cancel. So the 4.7 is by itself. I want W all alone. Now I have to divide. And this is definitely going to be a calculator. W equals 2.4. So you did have to work with decimals a tiny bit. I could see that those two added up to be 4.7, but you could do it with a calculator. I could see that these two, when I subtract, is 11.28, but you could use a calculator. And then this division, I went straight to the calculator. So decimals, just treat them like the whole numbers. And where you need a help, you have a Chromebook which has a calculator, and you have phones that have calculators. All right. Let's look at one on the graph side. If I want slope and y-intercept, okay, it helps to have these. There's a couple of ways we could go about it. But one way is to get it into y equals form. So I'm going to add the x to both sides. Excuse me. Then I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, I'm going to write the equation down here. Y equals, now x over 2 is like 1/2 x. If there's no number in front of that x, we can envision a 1. And now I've pulled the 1/2 over to the side, Brody, because this is going to help me with slope and y-intercept. 8 divided by 2 is 4. It's negative because this started out as a -8 that I just moved to the side to make room for the x. Now that I have it in y equals form, one of these numbers is the slope, one of these numbers is the y-intercept. Which one is which?
1/2 is the slope.
1/2 is the slope, -4 is the y-intercept. Once I know those two, this is easy to graph. I go ahead and put a -4 as my starting point. Y-intercept means on the y. That's where it crisscrosses. 1/2 means from this line, I go up 1 to the right 2. There you go. All right? Okay. Again, attach things together, turn it on in. The stapler's behind Molly. Today in the books, we are on page 466. You got to turn it in to get credit on
Will
it.
it be bumped down if we turn it off?
No. One thing to say about stuff like this, especially on a review worksheet or a sub day, if you have small questions and you just want to turn it in to make sure you get points and maybe it's not full credit but you get most of the credit, that's a great idea. If you have a ton of questions, you might want to come on Wednesday after school because this is the kind of thing we've seen you have trouble with on old tests, and Miss Morell and I choose what to put on, and you can expect it to show up on future tests. So they're core types of skills you need to know moving on in math. So it won't go away. If you don't get it, figure out how to get your questions answered. And Wednesday tutoring, Brody, is the best way. Unless, of course, you have a sport class. One thing to notice, we've been talking about statistics. We're going to go ahead and have a quiz tomorrow on stuff like dot plot, box and whisker, and on Friday we worked on histogram. But we're going to spend today reviewing that stuff and getting a little bit better at it. So page 466 is wrapping up lesson 8.1, and it's all that beginning ways to look for patterns in data. Okay, number 1. Let's see where we are on time here. Maybe we'll start